I'm Phil Gale. Welcome to the programme. US President Joe Biden has issued an executive order imposing sanctions on Israeli settlers in the occupied West Bank following a wave of violence. Measures include financial and travel restrictions on a small number of settlers accused of violent attacks on Palestinians. The Israeli Prime Minister's office has criticised the sanctions as unnecessary and described the vast majority of settlers as law-abiding. Straight to our Washington bureau chief, Ines Pohl. Welcome, Ines. What more do we know about the president's latest executive order?
Well, Phil, this executive order will enable the United States to impose financial sanctions on individuals who are, I quote here, directing or participating in certain actions, including acts of threats or of violence against civilians, intimidating civilians to force them out of their homes, destroying or seizing property, or engaging in terrorist activity in the West Bank. We typically see these types of financial sanctions targeting Russians or citizens of states that the US is in openly conflict with, but we have never seen that targeting Israeli citizens.
And so does this tell anything about the sort of pressure that Mr. Biden must be under at the moment?
Absolutely. This, Phil, is really indeed a striking and unprecedented policy decision. I think it is fair to say that this is the most significant step any US administration in history has taken in response to violence by Israeli settlers against Palestinian civilians in the West Bank, and indeed proves the greater frustration of the Biden administration. But not only that, it also underscores the immense pressure President Biden faces in this year, which is just the beginning of a crucial presidential election year. 70% of his party disapproves of his Israel policies, and he indeed risks losing crucial support from black voters, younger voters, and of course Arab Americans if he is unable to exert pressure on Israel to commit to a lasting ceasefire and agree to a two-state solution. And Phil, it's no coincidence that this order comes right in the moment before President Biden was on his way to Michigan. This is an important swing state with a large Arab American community.
OK, thank you for that, Ines Pohl in Washington. Let's get more on this from DW Special Correspondent Aya Ibrahim in Jerusalem.
This initial round targets 4 individuals. They've been named in press releases from the Biden administration. These are financial sanctions that are aimed at making sure that these 4 individuals, which the U.S. says have been involved in violent attacks on Palestinians and Israeli activists, peace activists in the West Bank, they're aimed at making sure that they do not use the U.S. financial system and that also to prevent American citizens from financially dealing with them. Like, as you have mentioned, the Prime Minister has already reacted to this executive order, saying that it is unnecessary, but also saying that Israeli authorities do what they're supposed to do to deal with this kind of violence in the occupied West Bank, which is something that rights groups and Palestinians that I've spoken to in the West Bank will tell you just does not happen. According to rights organizations, there's documented evidence that the Israeli Defense Forces and the Israeli police is oftentimes either accompanying settlers as they conduct these attacks, or is sometimes even helping them with these attacks. And these attacks have seen an increase since the October 7th Hamas terror attacks on Israel. Their violence in the occupied West Bank has been spiraling since then. And in fact, the United Nations has documented that over 1,000 Palestinians have been displaced in the occupied West Bank. These are Bedouin communities as a result of these attacks. And all of this, of course, undermines what the U.S. says is its policy, which is eventually reaching a two-state solution, because it is widely considered that the occupied West Bank would form the heart of any future Palestinian state. And with every displacement of a Palestinian, that goal is pushed even further. So this is very much in line with what the U.S. says is its policy in the region.
Thanks, Aya. Aya Ibrahim in Jerusalem.